by now you know Max Holloway has defeated Dustin Poirier in what was Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. And man, I was trying to think, when was the last time a main event made me this emotional? When was the last time a fight made me this emotional? Perhaps it was Izzy against Pereira in Miami. Perhaps it was DC against Stipe in Las Vegas in the midst of COVID. This was special stuff, man. It really was special stuff. And the UFC nailed it. And it was so unique as well. We've had retirement fights. We've had situations where a fighter has told us this is going to be the last one. This has happened before. I remember Chris Lytle on a UFC on Versus show said, going into his fight against Dan Hardy, this is going to be my last one. That fight was in Milwaukee. He has no connection to Milwaukee. He's from Indianapolis. We had DC against Stipe say this is going to be the last one. That was at the Apex in the midst of COVID. It is so rare to get the retirement fight in the main event of a pay-per-view in that fighter's home state. Supremely rare. And then for him to be celebrated the way in which he was all week long. And yeah, Dustin Poirier never won an undisputed title. He won the interim belt in 2019. He beat Max Holloway. Yeah, Dustin Poirier has a few losses on his resume. 10 to be exact. You're a boxing fan, you look at the 10 losses, you're like, what? You guys are celebrating this guy? Never was an undisputed champion? What is going on here? Headlining a pay-per-view? If that's your thought, you just don't get it. In many ways, no one deserved this more than Dustin Poirier, because ever since we met Dustin Poirier, way back when, via the documentary Fightville, this guy has taken us on an emotional journey. From the beginning, he opened his life to us. When most fighters aren't opening their life, we don't know who these guys are when they're 1-0, 0-1. Especially not in those days. These days, you meet them a little bit earlier with Contender Series and all that, but not in, 2010, 2011, 2012. You're not finding out about these guys then. And then having this kind of longevity, 13 years at the top of the game since entering the UFC, entered the UFC in 2011. It's now 2015, 14 years in the UFC, not to mention WEC before that, not to mention the regional scene before that. It had to be Dustin. It had to be this way for Dustin Poirier to take us on this journey. I don't know how he handled it, and I can't wait to ask him about it. It seemed like every time I was looking online, social media, YouTube, the broadcasts, it's another tribute to him, and he's crying. I don't know how he was unable to allow those emotions, those tears, to affect him. He said afterwards he was able to compartmentalize it, and I believe him, but how could that not be draining? That one video that they did on the broadcast where he's sitting on the chair and they're playing those videos from his wife, from his daughter, from Tim Crater, from his first, kickboxing coach, and from his mom. Outstanding. Made me cry. Can't imagine. And it was so nice to see this guy who had fallen short so many times, 3 official times in undisputed title fights, had big moments, and certainly had a lot of great moments, but also had some very public, stumbles, if you will. And when I say the public stumbles, I'm just talking about from an athletic standpoint. This guy has never embarrassed the company. He's never embarrassed his family. He's never embarrassed his state, his hometown. He's been outstanding. And so it was beautiful to see him get this. And it was also really interesting to see Max Holloway, who is typically an uber babyface, be treated as the heel and actually kind of like it, I felt. At the pre-fight press conference, it seemed like he was enjoying being the bad guy, being the spoiler. He had to play it that way. It couldn't be like, oh, I'm just here to be an opponent. No, he's got his own aspirations. He's trying to get another fight with Ilya. And you saw that kick off. BMF this, title fight at 155 that. He wasn't here to just be a part of the show. He was trying to ruin the show. He was trying to spoil the whole damn thing, and he did that. But it was unique to see him in that role, because we never see him in that role. He was also staring at some history, the wrong kind of history. He would have gone 0-6 in trilogies. Well, technically 0-3, 0-3, so 0-2, but 0-3 against Volk, 0-3 against DP. So he salvages it in the last one. His son was brilliant, rushing the front row and the interactions with him before the fight, after the fight, in the back with Dustin. Everyone played their part. It was really beautiful to watch. And I posted on social media, on my Instagram on Saturday morning, a clip that I absolutely love from Fightville. And we'll play it in a moment. And my caption was, "Mission accomplished, DP, mission accomplished." And then, of course, you had some knuckleheads on there who are like, "What do you mean mission accomplished? He never won a belt." In case you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain why it was precisely a mission accomplished for DP. First, here's the clip.
What's your dream right now?
My dream is to be the best fighter that I can be, to be the best fighter at 155 pounds in the world. I just want to be the best fighter, period. That's my dream. People who say that this is a crazy dream or like a fantasy dream that I'm chasing and that I won't be able to do it, you know, what's their dream? What are they going to do with their lives? You know? Well, I'll find out, you know? I'll find out. I'll push this as far as I can push it, and then I'll see what I'll do from there. But at least I'm out here, you know, doing what I want to do.
And there you have it. I'll find out. I will push it as far as I can push it. That's what he did. That's why it was mission accomplished. He pushed this thing as far as he could push it. And the truth is, he could probably stick around a little longer or a lot longer. He just went toe-to-toe with one of the best fighters in the world. And we'll get to Max. He was sort of the B-side of all of this. But we learned a lot about Max on Saturday too, which has sort of been brushed to the side. Prior to this, Dustin went toe-to-toe with the best lightweight in the world, Islam Makhachev. He could probably go longer, but he said it time and again. He wants to be healthy. He wants to be there for his family. He's done. And that takes a lot of courage. And that's what makes him special, because most people aren't doing that. Most people aren't headlining shows in their home state, in their hometown, and then saying, "Peace, I'm out of here." No, we want more. Oh, I need to get that last win. Oh, let me go for one last title run. That's why he's built different. That's why he's cut from a different cloth. And so, yeah, it was a mission accomplished. He found out and he pushed it as far as he could go. And when you look at how far he has come from, it's a pretty damn incredible journey. Speaking of Fightville, like to that point, here's a clip from that movie, which you must watch. Do yourself a favor. And there might be more coming, but more on that down the line. Do yourself a favor and watch it. But watch this clip and then tell me it's not a mission accomplished. Watch this clip right here and look at how far this guy has come from. And then remember what you saw on Saturday and the celebration that he received all week long and getting a show in his home state. The UFC doesn't do this sort of thing. Mission accomplished. Take a look.
I definitely think fighting has opened the path to redemption for me. I mean, I've been in boot camp and juvenile detentions and programs and all this stuff that's supposed to help you, and I mean, that didn't help, you know. But when I found something that I wanted and that I really was gonna chase, no matter what roadblock was in front of me, I would break it down and go get it. This is a picture of me right when I started training. I was probably about 200 pounds in that picture. Big transformation. Look way different, man. People that haven't seen me since I looked like that, like don't even notice me sometimes.
He's finally found what he's been looking for all of this time. I know that he has been waiting his whole life to climb up something and put his hands in the air, because he did it the best.
It's so freaking good. In the movie, he talks about riding his bike to his then girlfriend, now wife's work, waiting for her to get off work so she can drive him to practice. And everyone has their version of the story. He got in trouble, with the law, fights, things like that, and look at what he turned his life into. It's a beautiful thing, and I know that there is a variation of this story almost within every single fighter. But this freaking guy, there's something about him. There's something about the way in which he speaks to our heart. There's something about the way in which he conducts himself. It was beautiful. He had Lil Wayne walk him out. Sure, they didn't have Lil Wayne perform, but if you saw him at WrestleMania a couple of years ago, maybe that was for the best. He's a Louisiana icon, and he had him walk out with him for his final walk. The walkout was great. The scene was great. The fight was great. I know he was disappointed. In all fairness, I did have it 4-1 Max. I think you can maybe make a case for 3-2. But I thought in the moment that it was probably going to be 4-1. I thought he stole the second round with the late flurry at the end, went for the jumping guillotine. And I have to say, for a brief moment there, and it was brief, but for a brief moment there, I was like, oh my God, if he pulls this off, if this freaking guy pulls this off, it will be the greatest send-off in the history of the sport. He's been talking about this one move for 5, 6, 7 years. He had Max rocked. He jumps the ghillie, and Max defended it great. He turned on his back. It was just a couple of seconds at best. But holy shit, we got that moment. And for a moment, I was like, if he actually does this, I mean, Hollywood would never believe it. People asked him afterwards if he regretted that, if he should have just continued to, attack him with blows. And of course, he's going to say no. That's his thing. Jump the ghillie. They had the great moment at the end, pointing down, and Dustin being, not having to prove anything to anyone, being somewhat self-deprecating, said, yeah, I took a few shots and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna clinch with this guy. And yeah, we did learn a lot about Max Holloway because Max Holloway is coming off his first knockout loss. And sometimes when someone comes off a knockout loss, especially after all the fights, all the minutes in the cage, all the strikes landed, all the strikes absorbed, you see someone nosedive. You see them fall off a cliff in their career. And so I was wondering, would he be able to take a punch? Would he fight different? Would he be a little bit more cautious? He really wasn't. Max Holloway's all the way back. Some way, somehow, he has survived that Ilia Topuria knockout, and he's come all the way back. Remarkable. And now he's in the mix, going back and forth with Ilia about the BMF title, talking about a potential fight against Charles. The BMF title has given him life. There's Ilia rubbing in his face that he has a BMF title. Max taking some shots at the post-fight press conference, saying it's a little bit sad that you had to buy a title, then tweeting back at him with the belt. Who knows? The BMF to me is a very silly thing. The champion is the BMF. I get it. I will say this, every time they've had a BMF title fight, the fight has been great. It has delivered. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, or it's just a byproduct of the fighters that are fighting for that type of belt. I don't know if there's any sort of prestige. I'm not against it because the fighters get pay-per-view points off of it, so more power to them. But is it some sort of like prestigious thing that, it's like it's the WWF hardcore title from back in the day. Maybe a smidge more prestigious because that was sort of a mid-card belt. And we've seen some A-listers fight for that belt. For the UFC, this is probably the best result because, the guy going home, if he would have won the belt, then you have to retire it, or then you have to have a vacant title fight, whatever. Max gets the dub over the retiring legend, and now he's building himself back up in order to get another big fight. So if this was, 1970s Memphis wrestling, the guy who actually is going to leave town, so to speak, retire, usually loses, usually does the job. So for the promotion, probably the best case result. I know they weren't really thinking of it that way, and it would have been incredible to see Dustin win. But I'm saying from a promotional standpoint, yeah, probably. So much has felt so soulless in the world of the UFC over the last couple of years, and this was the complete opposite. In the state, in the city that has given us soul food, you get this thing that means something, that pulls on our heartstrings, that actually makes us care, reminds us why we care, reminds us why we love this, reminds us why we fall in love with these guys and their journey, and why we'll do anything to watch them, to get over the hump, to try to propel them, to try to excel, live out their dreams. Somehow, it makes us think about our own dreams and what we can accomplish. It was everything that fight sports, it was everything that combat sports MMA. It was everything that the UFC should be. It was beautifully done. It was tasteful. It was classy. It mattered. It felt like it meant something. It was emotional. It was great. There was no bad blood. There was respect, but there was also some tension there before the fight. It wasn't fabricated. It wasn't phony. It was incredible. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.